Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Chris's Awareness Knits. That's two S's on Chris's, two S's on awareness, and one S on knits. Welcome to a channel where we talk about everything that's going on in my life when it regards to crafts. We're talking about the fact that I live in Japan. We're talking about the fact that I'm a crafty person who is in love with yarn and is always making these gorgeous things that I just don't get to talk about with anybody. So I've decided to talk about them with you. And as you can see, I have quite a mess of yarn. I'm not ashamed of the fact that I am a bit of a disorganized knitter, crocheter, artist, fiber, and I do some art with making earrings and necklaces and keychains and the like. So first let's start with what I finished in the last week. And it is not much, guys. I've been having a hard time getting back into the groove, and I have not finished as much as I wanted to. So I have finished my first ever crochet sock. Now it's supposed to be a sock, not a slipper, because I've crocheted slippers before. In fact, I'm wearing a set that I crocheted that are quite old and have felted. Would you like to see my beautiful slippers that I made a long time ago? I think you would. Anyway, so here are my slippers. Whoops, yarn everywhere. Slippers. So I got my slippers, but this was my first attempt at a sock. And I gotta say, I put it on. You know, it's cute. It looks like a sock more than a slipper. It's definitely meant to be a sock. You can tell that it's definitely meant to be a sock and not a slipper. But I can feel every single little crochet as I walk on it. So I don't know if that's something that's going to soften up with time or what's going to happen with that. But since it's such an uncomfortable walking experience, I am having the hardest time finishing my second one. I'm about halfway through, which I showed you last time, but now that I've finished one, I'm like, do I finish the second one? Because it's not a very comfortable sock at all. And what's the point of crocheting yourself a sock, spending all that effort, if it's not going to be a comfortable sock? So I think what I'm going to do, I've been wearing the one sock around my apartment to try, like, with another sock underneath it to try to see if it'll, like, be less irritating if I wear it down a little bit. This is sock yarn. It says cotton socks yarn on it. It's supposed to be sock yarn, but I think it's the crochet is like knots and knitting is like loops. And I think this might have been better knit, but I've never knit a sock before. And I find that crochet goes so much faster. And I was like, do I knit a sock or do I crochet a sock? Well, it depends on when I want that sock. Do I want that sock within the next week? Or do I want that sock in 3 or 4 months? Because I'm not a fast knitter. I've never done the Kitchener stitch, so I'd have to learn that. I've never had to, like, I've never gone much past stockinette and garter, to be honest, when it comes to knitting. And I'm a little intimidated because you just got 2 stitches. 3 if you count the slip stitch. So how can you do all these beautiful things with so few stitches? I don't even know. I'm confused. Because crochet's got all these different stitches and you can do different, ways of doing things and everything, I feel like you get a little bit further with crochet. But then I see all these beautiful knitted pieces and oh my God, they are beautiful. Even just a simple stockinette jumper is just gorgeous. And I'm like sitting there going, can I do this? Can I actually like knit a sweater? Because I know I can crochet a sweater. I've crocheted several sweaters at this point. Like 4. Hey, I only started crocheting like 2.5, 3 years ago. Leave me alone. I'm doing my best. I've been making hats, scarves, hair ties, a little bit of decor. So I'm trying to branch out a little bit. So I was like, socks. It's cold. My feet are cold. I need some socks. But I don't know if this experiment is working out. Speaking of making scarves and hats and so on, I made another scarf. This one I knit in garter stitch because it's such a... I wanted it to be nice and thick and like spongy. So it comes out being this quite beautiful little scarf. See, a lot of people like these really long scarves. I don't really like a really long scarf. I just want it to tuck right here and just sit right here perfectly on my neck. Get my hair. And I think it's so cute and it's so fresh and it's just garter stitch. And also, I've told you guys in the past, but maybe some of you don't know, I buy a lot of used yarn, and used yarn doesn't come in full amounts. So you can't really make a super long scarf because you don't have the full amount. Now, a lot of times I make scarves on my knitting machine, and that's just like, crank it out, go, 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 ignore my arm flab, go, 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 go. And then you have a tube. But a tube takes twice as much yarn as even a crocheted scarf. And a knitted scarf takes much less yarn. So if I don't have very much yarn, and it's beautiful, and it's squidgy, and I really want to use it to make a scarf, then I have to make a choice. Ignore my air fryer. I'm making homemade peanut butter. Because I'm not just crafty. I'm a good cook. And peanut butter is hard to get in Japan. Just so you know. So yeah, I made this really squidgy, really comfortable scarf, which I think is beautiful. But I haven't... Oh yes, I wanted to talk about the other thing that I'm working on. I think I mentioned it to you last time. I'm doing a cotton, like, knit t-shirt, and I've got my back panel completed. So it'll sit like there, and then go down and cover my bum a little bit. But now I've got to figure out the front panel because I crocheted it long ways, so it's got this really cool stitch, which when you turn it this way, I think makes an even cooler stitch. I just really like that stitch definition. I really think it's beautiful. So what I'm gonna have to do at some point is I'm gonna have to decrease somewhere around the neck, or my joint is gonna be like that. Maybe like that. So I have to decrease somewhere around the neck, which is like here-ish, but that's gonna be interesting to work out. And then of course I'll connect the two pieces and put on a little bit of a sleeve, because in Japan, if you don't wear sleeves, it's like no go. So you have to wear sleeves, which is why everything you've seen me in has sleeves. I've decided that I will stop making videos in my t-shirts because I want to look a little bit more professional and a little bit less like a schlub. Still wearing my sweatpants though, as you saw when I showed off my lovely slippers, because I am, in fact, a schlub. Deal with me. Anyway, so those are the things that I've been working on. I still have my planned projects, but I've been really struggling. Oh, and I started the base of the front of the t-shirt, the cotton t-shirt. So I've really been struggling with motivation, and I've really been struggling with getting back into the hobby, because I went absolutely insane and crazy when I had a break. I was just like all crochet all the time, 24 hours a day, every day, just going absolutely mad with it. I made 4 sweaters, I made hats for days, and then now it's been 4 weeks and I'm still not back on that train. I am making something at work that I can tell you about. In my breaks, I am making a Daruma. Now, Daruma is this like little red guy, like a egg shape, and he has a little scary face. And the history of the Daruma is that he is a minor god who needs somewhere to live. And you make this statue, or in this case a crochet Daruma, in order to give him a place to live. And since you've given him a place to live, he wants to pay you back by helping you achieve one of your goals. So in order to help Daruma achieve one of your goals, you have to tell him what your goal is. So you go to the Daruma that either you made or you bought, and you tell him, my goal is to save $10,000 in the next 2 years. And then he has like white eyes, and then you draw in a pupil on one of his eyes. And then, so he wants to help you, and now you've given a pupil so he can see, so he can actually help you. And you've given him a place to live, so he's like super excited to help you. So the Daruma will help you, and then when you achieve your goal, you draw in his second eye. And that allows him to leave the vessel. So he can stay or he can go as he pleases. So I love the idea of the Daruma. There's a place near me called Mihara that has a Daruma festival every year, and I've gone, and people go and they bring their old Daruma that has achieved their goal, and they burn them to release the spirit. And well, I don't want to burn my Daruma, who I have spent so much time making. Even a lot of Japanese people don't know the story of the Daruma. So I was talking to a Japanese coworker, and they're like, well, why don't you put the pupil in? And I was like, because I haven't made my wish yet. And if I'm going to, start selling Daruma, well, I won't be putting the pupil in. Because people have to do that themselves. That's the whole point of the Daruma. So it's just kind of like, if I were to sell it in the United States, I would sell it with the pupils on. But it seems like I'm going to be staying here for a little over a year, and if I can get into a craft fair or something like that, I think that somebody would really enjoy a crochet Daruma. And the idea came to me because when I left my first job here in Japan, I was given a crochet Daruma as a gift by one of my coworkers. She said her mom had made it. She gave me a Daruma and 2 little rabbits. And the little rabbits are they're like symbols of the new year. People like put out these little rabbit like character guys for the new year. I just think it's cute. I don't think it's appropriation. I don't think so. And every Japanese person who I've talked to has been like, That's awesome. You're like enjoying our culture and you know more about these things than we do. And it's so cool that you've taken an interest in us. And it's the same when I wear the traditional clothing. If I wear a yukata or a kimono, they're like, wow, you took the initiative to like join us in our culture. And I think that's beautiful. Because I'm not trying to steal their culture from them at all in any way, shape, or form. I'm just trying to express my appreciation for their culture. I'm not saying I came up with the Daruma legend by myself. I'm like, they don't even consider Daruma to be religious, even though it's about gods and minor gods coming to live in your house. They don't. It's just cultural. Like, that's it. They celebrate Christmas, even though they're not Christians. I don't think it's a big deal. Yeah, so they've appropriated Christmas. I've appropriated Daruma for the moment. I don't know. I just think it's something interesting to do, and I have a lot of fun making it. And especially because I had a big yarn tangle, and it was red, and Darumas are red, mainly, unless they're for specific situations. So the main Daruma is red. There are other colors that symbolize different goals, like gold is for money and purple is for health and all these different colors, but the main Daruma is red. And I had this big yarn tangle, and I was like, oh, I've been working on this yarn tangle for like 3-4 days. And a girl goes, why don't you just throw it out? I don't throw out yarn, first of all. So I took all of the yarn that I had picked out, and I'm making the Daruma with it. So I can show her that it would have been wasteful to throw it away, because now I can use it to make something. Don't throw away things that are still useful. It's kind of like a life lesson, like recycling and stuff. And most of my students are wealthy. So to her, it's just like, just go buy more yarn. Don't worry about it. And I'm like, it's so wasteful, though. We need to learn to take care of our environment. Like, that's it. We need to learn to take care of our environment. And one of the ways that I'm doing that is by untangling yarn and making something out of it. So that's my awareness point for this video, is something in Japan that's called mottainai. It means don't be wasteful. So they have this lady, this adorable cartoon on YouTube called Mottainai Grandma. That's 2 T's. Mottainai Grandma. And she just, every time someone's throwing something away that they shouldn't be throwing away, she like shows up and she's like, Mottainai! And the kids love it. So whenever they make a suggestion for me, like, why don't you throw that away? Why do we have to reuse this? Why do we have to do like blah 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 blah? I'm like, it's mottainai. Come on, guys, you know this. And it's not exactly it's wasteful. It's more like, I don't know how to explain it. The way I usually translate it into English is it's wasteful. But it's more like waste not, want not. Like, if you waste something, then you're gonna be punished by not having that thing. You know, if you don't waste food, then you will have food. That kind of thing. But yeah, check it out. I think it's really cool. Mottainai Grandma. Yeah. So that's really the thing that I wanted to bring up, is like, don't waste stuff. Like, we all have bags of yarn ends and little bitty things. Do a project. Do a like, what are they called? Why is my brain? A scrap project. Do a scrap project. And if your scraps are too small, stuff something with them. The first thing I ever made with scraps was a pillow stuffed full of scraps of yarn, not yarn because I was sewing at the time, scraps of fabric. I was actually making, boys cover your ears, I was making feminine hygiene products, reusable ones at the time. And they're great, guys. I made them like 4 years ago. No stains, no problems. Been using them ever since. Never once had an issue. So getting some reusable napkins saved me a lot of money in the last 2 years. But yeah, I was doing that for a little while. But they're considered to be medical devices, even though in the US they're taxed as luxury goods. Make sense to me. So in order to sell them in the United States, you need a medical, like, supply distribution license, which makes it really hard for like Etsy sellers to sell in the United States because they have to spend this like $300 thing and fill out all this paperwork, and there's no guarantee that you're going to make $300 at the end of the year on any one particular item. And they're not easy to make. They're not. It's a lot of really complex sewing. If you're not a good sewer, they're not going to last. You can't sell something that's substandard, you know? And there's all these China cheapies that you can get that are like $20 for a pack of 5. You know, get 2 and be done with your shopping for the next 5 years. But you can make some for yourself. You just can't sell them. So awareness brought. I hope you enjoyed me talking about the projects that I'm working on and explaining the story of Daruma, and even the end where I talked about something that I used to make. And thank you for coming. Remember, you can check out my blog. It's at chrissawareness.knits.com. 2 S's on Chris's, 2 S's on awareness, 1 S on knits. It's a blog style. I have a few things up for sale there right now, but plan to have more in the future. So you can check it out. I've got a Patreon. I got an Instagram. I got a Facebook. I set up all the things, guys. I don't have a coffee, so I need to set that up. It's just like, even though I'm just starting out and I don't have that many followers, there are just so many things to do and so many things to think about. And if I really, really want to grow my following, then I really have to step up my social media game. And just like stepping up my wardrobe during the videos, I also got to step up the rest of my social media game. So that's what I'm trying to do. But if you follow me, thank you so much. And if you don't follow me, but you still watch, thank you so much. And if you watched the first 2 minutes of it, I still love you. Thank you for coming, and I hope you have a good night.